equations. Remember we use solving quadratic equations by factoring? This is solving quadratic equations by completing the square, or in other words, CTS, just like a Cadillac. Okay, completing the square. All right, to complete the square, to complete the square, you must be in the form of x squared plus bx equals everything else. Okay, so we're going to find, what we're going to do is we're going to make this a perfect square trinomial so that we can make it a perfect square binomial. We can factor it. And to do that, we're going to use this little formula here where we're going to take b, the coefficient of our x, divide it by 2, and then we're going to square it. And we're going to add it to this side of the equation, which means we're going to have to add it to this side of the equation. Now, I know this sounds complicated and stuff. You guys just like to see, well, just tell me what to do and give me the numbers and let me do it. So that's what I'm going to do here. Okay. My b in number 1 is what? 8. So I'm going to add 8. You could use the minus 8. Divide it by 2 and square it. So this equals negative 4 squared, which is 16. So my c equals 16, or my constant. That's what I'm going to add to both sides of the equation. That's like part 1. Okay. There's a lot of parts to this because it extends to circles tomorrow. Okay, so here's the process. Here's the process of how to complete the square, or CTS. Okay, make sure your coefficient of x squared is 1. You can't do it if your coefficient is something other than 1. Write the equation in form of x squared plus bx. I'll show you how to add the blanks. Then you're going to add b divided by 2 squared to each side. Then you're going to factor it as a binomial. Then you're going to take the square root of both sides like you did last night for your homework and solve for x. See how this is scaffolding and building upon itself? That's why you needed to learn that skill last night very well. Okay, so let's solve a quadratic equation by CTS. Okay, first of all, my coefficient of x squared is 1, so I can do this. Then we're going to write the equation with x squared plus bx. So I need my x squared plus bx. Now, I'm not going to use this 3, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides of my equation, right? So I'll put the 3 over here. Now, I'm going to add, because I'm adding 3 to both sides. Okay? Now, I'm going to add my perfect squared. Okay, whatever it is, I'm going to add it to that side, which means I'm going to have to add it to this side, right? Okay, let's find out what that perfect square is. So, my b is 10, right? So I'm going to take 10, divide it by 2, and square it. That becomes 5 squared, or 25. So I'm going to add 25 to both sides. ¿Comprendes? ¿Comprendes? Okay. Good. Okay. I'm doing this. I'm taking my b, I'm taking half a b, squaring it, and I'm adding it to each side. Okay? My b, the coefficient of x, that's my b. With me? Okay. So I'm going to take my b, divide it by 2, and then square it. Okay, so 10 divided by 2 is 5, and I'm going to square it. 25. That's what I add to each side, because I got to keep it balanced. Too much coffee? Well, between you and Sabrina with too much pot, I don't know what, you know. What? Oh, okay. All right, so I have a perfect squared trinomial. It actually factors to a perfect binomial, x plus, this is a plus 5, plus the base 5 squared. That equals, well, what's 3 plus 25? 3 plus 25. 28. And now it becomes a problem like you did last night for your homework. Right? 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 Square both sides. I'm sorry, square root both sides. I get x plus 5 equals plus or minus. I'm going to split this up to square root of 4, square root of 7. And then I'm going to subtract 5 from each side. And my answer is x negative 5 good. That's my answer. Aren't you glad you mastered that concept last night? Okay, I'll do numbers. Are you ready? You ready? You ready? Everybody got this? Huh? What? All right, number 6. My coefficient is 1 for the x squared. I'm going to put it in the form of x squared minus 12x, right? So x squared minus 12x. I'm going to add to it the perfect square so I can make it a perfect square binomial. I need a perfect squared trinomial. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. When am I ever going to use this? Okay, I'm going to take, now my b is negative 12. I'm going to take half of negative 12 and square it. That gives me negative 6 squared, which is 36. So I'm going to add 36 to both sides. Oops, I forgot my blank over here. Okay. This is my perfect square trinomial, so I have x minus 6 is my base. Negative 4 plus 36, 32. Now it becomes just like your homework problem from last night. Square root both sides. I get x minus 6 equals plus or minus. You can simplify this. Square root of 16 times square root of 2. Then I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So x is going to equal 6 plus or minus Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 2. Yes, Ember. I mean, you're just proving my point over and over and over again, Sabrina. Huh? I heard that. I just read that when I opened up my internet. I dislike that man very much. I don't want. He is so biased. Matt Lauer. Are you ready? 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 I hate Hoda too. I know. And her, I don't like it. I like it. She takes a solid. It's no need to watch her. And all they do is drink the whole day. No, but like Arby's and Buffalo Wild Wings don't even bread their chicken. Like, it's not good. They don't bread their chicken. How you not bread chicken? That's the best thing you heard. No, I like their fries. Okay, let's continue on here. Part 3. This time my coefficient is not 1, so I'm going to make it 1. I'm going to factor out, I am going to factor out a 3 so that I get x squared minus 2x minus 4. Divide both sides by 3. X squared minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. Get it in the form of, now that my coefficient is 1, I have x squared minus 2x. Guys, quiet down. Plus, I'm going to make it a perfect square trinomial. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Oh my God. I'm going to take half a b, square it, gives me negative 1 squared, which is 1. Oops, forgot my blank. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I get x, my base is minus 1, squared equals 5, square root both sides. Yes. Oh, it gets worse. Just wait until tomorrow and the next day. So I get x minus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of 5. Add 1 to both sides. Thank your congressman. Thank Mr. Obama. It was his race to the top thing that made seniors take minors. Well, call him up and tell him. Exactly. Okay. Part 4. Write the quadratic function in vertex form. What's vertex form? That's why, right? Y equals x minus h squared plus k, right? So, what does that look like? Well, that looks like completing the square. That's what we're going to do. So, number 11. This time, I'm going to keep the 11 on this side. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Y equals, here's my x squared minus 8x. I'm going to add to it to make it a perfect square trinomial. I'm going to keep my 11 on this side, but, well, let's stop there and just do that for now. Okay. I'm going to take half a b and square it. That gives me -4 squared, which is 16. So I'm going to add 16. Now, because I want y by itself in vertex form, I'm not going to add 16 to this side, but how do I offset adding 16? Subtract 16. So I'm going to subtract 16 on the same side. So I get y equals my perfect squared binomial, which is x, my base is -4, squared, 11 minus 16, -5. There's my vertex form. Isn't that cool? What? Here. This is my perfect squared trinomial. That becomes this. Okay? I think we need to do another one of these. Let's do number 12. Okay, I'm going to put number 12 in vertex form. What? What? I highly suggest doing these steps because this is my base that makes it factorable. Yes. Take your b and always divide it by 2 and then square it. Okay. All right, number 12. I get y equals, here's my x squared plus bx. Then I'm going to add to it the perfect square. Then I got a +9. Then I'm going to have to subtract my perfect square. Okay. Hey, here's my b. I'm going to divide it by 2, square it. I get 3 squared, which is 9. So I'm going to add 9, and then I'm going to subtract 9. This is my perfect squared trinomial, right here. Okay, so that's my perfect squared trinomial. I have a +3 here as my base, squared. Now, 9 minus 9 is what? If you want to put a 0 there, by all means, you can put your 0 there. You don't have to. You could just leave it as y equals x plus 3 squared. Either way, I don't care. ¿Comprendes? Did I give you your homework for this? No, I didn't. You're a liar. Liar.